Hello, this is Marvin Glotfelty here with another NGWA industry connected video. I am a hydrogeologist and well driller from Arizona. Glad to be talking to you today. And today's topic is water scarcity and what impacts it may have and how we can manage those. So a good example of it here in the southwestern United States where I live is that we are experiencing drought conditions, water scarcity, and in the arid areas in the southwest, we have already fully allotted all our river systems. The Colorado River, the Rio Grande flowing through New Mexico to Texas, all those are fully allocated. So both from a legal standpoint and from a physical standpoint, there's not more water that we can divert and use surface water instead of pumping additional groundwater. We've done all we can. So that's being managed. We're still all using a lot of surface water, but we're pumping more and more groundwater. And that can't just be an endless putting more and more straws into the same cup, because there is a problem with impacts that will come along. So when I talk to lay people about this, they're mostly worried that everything is going to just go dry and then we all have to move away or die. Well, it's not going to be like that. But there will be impacts, and some of them will be long at the end of our generation. And I happen to be a fourth generation Arizonan, and so I would like for things to be good to my son's generation and to his son's generation and so on. So for that to occur is really the context of where I consider we need to be thinking this through and planning it through. So what will be the long-term things? Wells could go dry, especially shallower wells. They may need to be deepened. This is not uncommon in a lot of areas, but there's pretty deep aquifers, at least to 1,000 feet, sometimes 2,000 or 3,000 feet in some locations. So we can have deep aquifers, but that means that if the water table is dropping that far down, we have big costs, energy costs to pump that water out. Plus, the water quality will be impacted. That will be one of the first things that can happen. I've got a little graphic that I can show you on that. Let me share my screen here. All right, so this is an example of how water quality is stratified. So we have layers of sediment in the earth, and we have an example of a well that has penetrated those layers. And we're showing an example just conceptually of how we might have the good and the bad and the ugly of water quality. So we're showing in red a zone near the top that's high in nitrate here, top. Showing one in the middle that's high in arsenic, and one at the bottom that's high in total dissolved solids. The rest of them are pretty good. So this well, this example well, was designed to address that. You can see that we have a cement seal that sealed off the nitrate. There's a bentonite seal in the middle that sealed off the arsenic, and another cement seal at the bottom that isolated the well against receiving high TDS water. So this well would pump good water. And this is all before groundwater level drops. So if this was designed today, and that would be a good, maybe potable quality water. And then if we then put in a second, a third, and 10 more, and 20 more, and 100 more wells, and we pump them all extensively, now there may be a change to something like this. This is the same image, but what we've done here, let me go back. See where the water table is? Up high in the angular seal and the cement seal. Now, if it drops from up here down to this level, it's below the cement seal, we will now have this high nitrate water come on down with it. So now this well will receive poor quality water, and the arsenic water will have dropped. The TDS is still isolated, but this is a good example of how we can, the first impact we may see would be the degradation of water quality. So that's the kind of thing that we may want to be careful about, and not continue to just pump wells forevermore without worrying about how things can be impacted. Um, so what else might happen? We may have land subsidence. Now, this has happened in places like Texas, happened a lot in Arizona and California historically. So California has had, as I understand it, something like 30 feet of historic land surface drop. This happens when we pump enough groundwater out of the ground that we dewater clay layers. Nature of a clay layer, a shale or a clay, is that it doesn't have permeability. It's not a good aquifer for a well because it doesn't move water from place to place, but it has a lot of porosity. So it's like a big sponge. And when we dewater these, they compact. And those clay layers actually have interstitial water in between the molecules of clay. So when they collapse, they will not rehydrate and reswell. They're done. They're collapsed essentially permanently. So when the land surface drops, we can have, we don't have seismic events, but we have vertical drop. That means wells can collapse, and they do. It means that drainage systems and canals can flow the wrong direction, that tilting can be impacted, and there can be differential dropping. If there's shallow bedrock, we can have the land actually tilt like on a hinge. And this can make a thing called an earth fissure. It's a crack in the land that goes all the way to the water table. So this is unfortunately a nice big crack where people, human nature, people tend to throw their garbage and their old cars and their debris, which is the worst thing to put in a place that's going to be delivered direct. You don't want to put a landfill in a place that's going to go directly to the water table. And that's what can happen. That's what has happened. It happened in Arizona. Here we've had about 18 feet of land subsidence in some locations. So that was then mitigated years ago because we did good water management, groundwater management. But now we have a drought. If we begin to overpump water again, guess what? The land subsidence will restart. The water quality degradation will occur. And eventually we will run low on water. The cost of groundwater will go up because of the energy costs and the treatment costs. And so all these things are a doom and gloom scenario, but we don't have to go there. The alternative is good water management. We can manage our water all we want, but of course we have a limit to the actual physical supply of groundwater. It's not infinite. So what do? Well, we can treat other sources of water like seawater and import it. That's not cheap, but it's possible. So there's things that can be done, and they can be done in addition to conservation and good water management, not in lieu of it. So we have things we can do, but we have to do them. We can't, sit on our hands and do the ostrich thing and put our head in the sand. We have to be proactive. So with that, I hope you're doing well and being safe out there. And that's it for this section.